The forest smelled like rain and pine needles. Lily wiped sweat from her forehead as she knelt beside a cluster of purple flowers growing near an old oak tree. 3 months on this strange world called Verdania, and she still felt like an outsider. The locals with their silver skin and amber eyes treated her like something odd, something that did not belong. She worked on old Garrett's farm, milking strange six-legged creatures that produced milk sweeter than anything on earth, and in return he let her sleep in his barn and asked no questions about where she came from. She plucked the purple flowers carefully, remembering what the village healer had taught her. These could reduce fever and help with pain. Lily tucked them in her cloth bag and stood, brushing dirt from her knees. The Thornwood Forest was supposed to be dangerous, but she had been coming here for weeks now, and nothing bad had happened. The trees were tall and thick, blocking out most of the afternoon sun. Birds with bright green feathers sang overhead. Then she heard it, a sound that made her freeze, crying, high-pitched and desperate, like a child in pain. Lily turned her head, trying to find where the sound came from. It was not human. The noise had a strange quality to it, almost like a whistle mixed with a whimper. She knew she should head back to the farm. The sun would set in a few hours, and nobody wanted to be in Thornwood after dark. But that crying sound pulled at something deep in her chest. Whatever was making that noise was hurt and scared. She followed the sound through thick bushes, pushing branches aside. The crying grew louder. Then she saw it, that a small creature lay on the ground, trapped in a cruel metal device with sharp teeth. The trap had clamped down on its leg and wing. The creature was no bigger than a house cat, covered in brilliant blue scales that caught the light like sapphires. It had a long neck for legs, 2 wings, and a tail that thrashed weakly. Its eyes were gold with vertical pupils, and tears ran down its scaled face. A dragon. A baby dragon. Lily's breath caught. Dragons were killed on sight in the kingdom of Ironhold. The king had declared them monsters after they burned 3 villages over the past 10 years. There was a reward for dead dragons and execution for anyone who helped them. The story said dragons were mindless beasts that killed for pleasure, that they had no feelings and could not think like people. But this tiny creature sobbing in the trap looked nothing like a mindless beast. It looked terrified and in agony. The baby dragon saw her and tried to snarl, showing tiny sharp teeth. But it was too weak. The sound came out as more of squeak. Fresh blood pooled under its mangled wing. Lily knelt slowly. "Hey there, little one. I'm not going to hurt you." The dragon whimpered and tried to pull away, but the trap held it tight. Its breathing came in rapid, shallow gasps. She examined the trap carefully. It was designed by the king's dragon hunters, a spring-loaded mechanism with serrated jaws. Her agricultural training on Earth had included mechanical systems and animal care. She understood how these kinds of devices worked. There would be a release lever somewhere. "Hold still," she whispered. "This is going to hurt, but I promise it will be better after." The dragon's golden eyes locked onto hers. For a moment, something passed between them. Understanding, maybe, or just desperate hope. Lily found the release mechanism hidden under leaves. She pressed down hard, and the metal jaws opened with a snap. The dragon yelped and scrambled backward, dragging its injured wing. It tried to run, but collapsed after 3 steps. She moved slowly, taking off her cloak. "I know you were scared, but that wing needs help, or you will never fly again." The dragon watched her with those intelligent golden eyes. It was shaking, either from pain or fear or both. When Lily wrapped the cloak gently around it, the creature flinched but did not bite. Up close, she could see it was even younger than she thought. Maybe only a few weeks old. She lifted the bundle carefully. The dragon was surprisingly light, its bones hollow like a bird's. It made a soft, chirping sound, almost like a question. "I know a place," Lily said quietly. "An old cottage nobody uses anymore. We can hide there." Carrying the injured dragon, she moved quickly through the forest. Every snapping twig made her jump. If the hunters found her with this creature, they would hang her in the town square. But she could not leave it to die. She had always been this way, even back on Earth. Her father used to say she would try to rescue a tiger if it looked sad enough. The abandoned shepherd's cottage appeared through the trees, just as the sun touched the horizon. It was small and weathered, with a leaking roof and broken windows, but it was shelter. Lily had discovered it during her second week on Verdania and had been slowly fixing it up as a private refuge. She laid the dragon on an old blanket and lit a small fire in the stone fireplace. The creature watched her every movement. Its wing hung at an ugly angle, definitely broken. The leg was badly cut, but not as serious. Lily gathered her supplies. Clean cloth, water from her canteen, strips of leather she had been using to repair boots. She took a deep breath. "This is going to hurt," she told the dragon, "but I promise I'm trying to help." The dragon made a soft sound, almost like it understood. As Lily began cleaning the wounds, the tiny creature trembled but did not pull away. It was the beginning of something neither of them could have imagined. Outside, the first stars appeared in the alien sky, and somewhere in the distance, a much larger dragon released a mournful cry that echoed across the kingdom. For days passed in the cottage, and Lily barely left. She told old Garrett she had caught a fever and needed rest. He grumbled, but sent his grandson with bread and cheese, which Lily rationed carefully between herself and her secret patient. The baby dragon, which he had started calling Cobalt because of its brilliant blue scales, proved to be surprisingly resilient. The first night had been rough. Lily set the broken wing as best she could, using thin branches as splints and wrapping everything with strips of cloth. Cobalt had cried through the whole process, making sounds that tore at Lily's heart. But the little dragon never tried to bite her, even when the pain must have been unbearable. Why the second day, Cobalt was eating. Lily caught fish from the nearby stream, and the dragon devoured them raw, crunching through bones with sharp little teeth. After eating, Cobalt would waddle over to where Lily sat and curl up against her leg, making a sound like a cat's purr, but deeper and more rumbly. "You are supposed to be a terrifying monster," Lily said, scratching gently under Cobalt's chin. The dragon closed its eyes, and the purring sound grew louder. On the third day, something amazing happened. Cobalt tried to help with tasks around the cottage. When Lily was starting the fire, the dragon tottered over and released a small jet of flame from its mouth, igniting the kindling instantly. Lily jumped back in surprise, but Cobalt just looked proud of itself. Later, when Lily was organizing her supplies, Cobalt picked up scattered items in its mouth and brought them to her, like a dog playing fetch. The dragon clearly understood what she was doing and wanted to contribute. "You're smart, aren't you?" Lily murmured. "Not mindless at all." Cobalt chirped and bobbed its head. That night, Lily sang songs from Earth while mending her clothes. Old folk songs her grandmother had taught her, lullabies from childhood. Cobalt listened with rapt attention, its head tilted to one side. When she finished, the dragon tried to mimic the melody, creating a haunting whistling sound that was surprisingly beautiful. Lily laughed for the first time since arriving on Verdania. "You have a better voice than me, little one." But the peaceful bubble could not last forever. On the fourth evening, Lily returned from gathering more medicinal herbs to find Cobalt standing at the cottage window, staring at the sky. The dragon was making distressed chirping sounds over and over. Its good wing flapped uselessly. "What is wrong?" Lily asked, rushing to the window. Then she heard it, a sound that made the cottage walls vibrate. A roar, deep and powerful, echoing from somewhere beyond the forest. It was followed by another sound, almost like singing, but much larger and more complex than Cobalt's attempts. Cobalt chirped frantically in response, trying to call back. Lily's stomach dropped. "Your mother. She is looking for you." The baby dragon pressed against the window, its golden eyes wide and desperate. It called again, but its small voice could not carry far enough. Over the next hour, Lily heard that massive roar 3 more times, each from a different direction. The mother dragon was searching, circling the forest, calling for her lost baby. And Cobalt was crying in response, a pitiful sound that got weaker each time. Lily sat on the floor, pulling her knees to her chest. What had she done? She saved Cobalt's life, yes, but in doing so, she had kept a mother and child apart. She thought of her own mother back on Earth, who must be terrified not knowing where her daughter had gone. The portal accident had given Lily no chance to say goodbye. She must be so scared, Lily whispered. Cobalt limped over and crawled into her lap, still making sad chirping sounds. The next morning brought worse news. Lily snuck into town for supplies and found it buzzing with activity. Dragon hunters were everywhere, checking weapons and loading wagons. She overheard conversations in the market square. Biggest dragon ever seen, one hunter said, eyes wide with fear and excitement. Black scales like polished stone. Wingspan over 80 feet. Why is it not attacked? Another asked. Who cares? The king is offering 5,000 gold coins to whoever brings it down. We set up ballistas all through Thornwood. Commander Stone himself is leading the hunt. Says we end this today. Lily bought her supplies with shaking hands and hurried back to the cottage. She found Cobalt trying to fly, flapping its good wing desperately while the splinted one hung useless. The dragon fell and chirped in frustration. Stop, you will hurt yourself worse, Lily said, scooping up the little dragon. Cobalt struggled briefly, then went limp in her arms. It made a sound like a question, its golden eyes staring into hers. Lily made a decision. I have to get you back to your mother. I know it is dangerous, but she is risking everything to find you. And they're going to kill her if I do not do something. The dragon seemed to understand. It nuzzled against her hand. That night, Lily barely slept. She made plans, discarded them, made new ones. How could she signal a dragon without the hunters seeing? How could she protect both Cobalt and the mother? She was just one person, and not even from this world. What could she possibly do against an entire kingdom's army? But when dawn came and she heard that mournful roar again, closer this time, she knew she had to try. Cobalt chirped softly from where it slept curled against her side. The little dragon trusted her completely. Okay, Lily said quietly. We do this together. She gathered supplies and headed for the highest ridge she knew, a rocky outcrop that overlooked the forest. Cobalt rode on her shoulder, its tail wrapped around her neck for balance. The splinted wings stuck out awkwardly, but the dragon seemed determined to help however it could. Behind them, the sound of hunters moving through the forest grew louder. Ahead, somewhere in the morning sky, a mother searched for her child, and Lily walked forward toward a confrontation that would change everything. The ridge stood 50 feet above the forest canopy, a shelf of gray stone that jutted out like a platform. Lily had found it weeks ago while exploring and had marveled at the view. Now, as she climbed the narrow path with Cobalt clinging to her shoulder, she prayed it would serve a different purpose. She gathered dry branches and stacked them in a pile. Cobalt watched with interest, chirping questions. When Lily struck her flint, creating sparks, the little dragon seemed to understand. It opened its mouth and released a stream of blue-tinted flame. The fire caught immediately, burning bright and hot. Good job, Lily whispered, even though her heart was pounding. She had found reflective crystals in a nearby cave system, chunks of quartz-like minerals that caught light beautifully. She arranged them around the fire, creating points that would flash and sparkle. Then she pulled out a cloth she had dyed with berry juice and waved it above the flames, creating colored smoke. Cobalt added its own small flames periodically, making the fire burn in shades of blue and orange. The little dragon seemed excited, chirping and bouncing on its 3 good legs. They did not have to wait long that a shadow passed over the sun. Lily looked up and her breath stopped. The dragon descending from the clouds was massive beyond anything she had imagined. Its scales were black like obsidian, gleaming in the morning light. Each wing was longer than a sailing ship. Golden eyes, identical to Cobalt's, but enormous, focused on the ridge with laser intensity. The mother dragon circled once, twice, clearly suspicious. This could be a trap. Probably looked exactly like a trap. Cobalt saw its mother and went wild, chirping and calling with every bit of strength in its small body. The little dragon tried to launch itself into the air, forgetting its broken wing, and nearly tumbled off Lily's shoulder. She caught it quickly. The mother dragon heard her baby's voice. The change was instant. She tucked her wings and dove toward the ridge with terrifying speed. Then Lily heard shouts from the forest below. There! The dragon is landing. Get the ballistas in position. Commander Stone, we have a clear shot. No, this was exactly what Lily had feared. She spun around and saw movement in the trees. Hunters rushing forward, pulling massive crossbow-like weapons on wheels. The ballistas were designed to bring down large creatures, with bolts as long as Lily was tall. Wait! Lily screamed. Stop! She is just looking for her baby. But her voice was too small, lost in the chaos. The hunters were shouting to each other, coordinating their attack. Commander Stone, a tall man with a scarred face and cold eyes, stood at the front. He raised his hand, preparing to give the order to fire. The mother dragon landed on the ridge with earth-shaking force. She was even more massive up close, her head alone the size of a wagon. Those golden eyes locked onto Cobalt, and she made a sound, a deep rumbling call filled with relief and anguish. Cobalt chirped back desperately. Fire! Commander Stone's voice rang out. No. Lily did the only thing she could think of. She grabbed Cobalt and ran forward, placing herself directly between the hunters and the mother dragon. She held the baby dragon above her head with both hands. She's just looking for her baby. Stand down, please. Ballista bolts flew. The mother dragon roared in fury, a sound so loud Lily felt it in her bones. Flames gathered in the dragon's throat, enough fire to turn the entire forest to ash. The hunters scrambled to reload, shouting in panic. Hold! Another voice cut through the chaos. Commander Stone himself, his hand raised. Hold your fire. The hunters froze, confused. Stone was staring at Lily, at Cobalt in her hands, at the massive dragon behind her who could kill them all, but had not moved. Lower your weapons, Stone said slowly. Nobody move. The mother dragon landed fully on the ridge, so close that Lily could feel heat radiating from her scales. The ground shook. Lily's legs trembled, but she stayed standing, holding Cobalt up where the mother could see. Look, Lily said, her voice shaking. Look at her face. She is not attacking. She is scared for her baby, just like any mother would be. The mother dragon lowered her enormous head slowly. Her golden eyes were fixed on Cobalt, and there was something in that gaze that even the hunters could see. Not rage, not mindless hunger, pain, worry, love. Cobalt chirped softly. The mother dragon made a gentle rumbling sound in response. Lily, her arms aching from holding the baby dragon up, carefully lowered Cobalt to the ground between herself and the mother. She stepped back, giving them space. The mother dragon moved with impossible gentleness for something so large. She used one massive claw, carefully, to turn Cobalt and examine the splinted wing. She sniffed the bandages, the healing wounds. Her eyes widened when she saw the care that had been taken. Cobalt chirped and whistled, telling its story in dragon language. The little dragon gestured with its good wing at the splint, at Lily, at the forest. The mother listened intently. Then the massive dragon turned those golden eyes to Lily. For a long moment, they stared at each other. Woman and dragon. Two mothers, in a way, both trying to protect this same small creature. The mother dragon lowered her head until it nearly touched the ground. A bow, a gesture of respect and gratitude that was unmistakable. Lily, trembling, bowed back. Behind her, she heard gasps from the hunters. Commander Stone stood frozen, his weapon lowered. One of his soldiers, a young woman with red hair, whispered, "By the gods, they are not monsters." The mother dragon made a deep, complex sound. Then she did something that shocked everyone present. She carefully pushed Cobalt back toward Lily with her snout. Then she pushed them both gently toward her own massive body, inviting them to come closer. Lily understood. The mother was entrusting her baby's continued care to the human who had saved it. A gesture of trust that defied everything the kingdom believed about dragons. The mother dragon spread her massive wings and released a call that echoed across the entire kingdom. It was not a roar of challenge or anger. It was something else, a haunting melody that carried for miles. From the thornwood forest, from the mountains beyond, from the sky itself, dragons answered. Lily watched in awe as they came. 5 adult dragons, each magnificent and terrifying, each different colors ranging from deep red to forest green to silver. They landed around the ridge in a semicircle, their combined weight making the stone groan. The hunters backed away, weapons shaking in their hands. Commander Stone's face had gone pale. They were surrounded by dragons, and every person there knew they stood no chance if the creatures attacked. But the dragons did not attack. Instead, each one lowered its head in the same bow the mother had given Lily. It was a gesture of respect, of gratitude, of recognition. Then the mother dragon, moving with careful precision, used her claw to pull something from beneath her scales. A scale from her own body, as large as a dinner plate, gleaming black like polished glass. Dragon scales were said to be indestructible, worth more than gold, sought by kings and warriors across the world. She placed it gently at Lily's feet. One by one, the other dragons did the same. The red dragon contributed a crimson scale. The green dragon left one that shimmered like emeralds. The silver dragon's offering glowed with an inner light. Soon, a pile of precious dragon scales lay before Lily, a treasure beyond measure. Cobalt chirped proudly, as if saying, "See? I told you she was good." Commander Stone approached slowly, his hands raised to show he carried no weapon. He was a tall man, his face marked with scars from battles long past. His eyes, which Lily had thought were cold, now showed confusion and something that might have been shame. "How?" he asked simply. "How is this possible?" Lily looked at him, then at the dragons, then back at the commander. "Because we never tried to understand them. We only saw monsters because we were scared. But they are not monsters, Commander. They are mothers and fathers and children, just trying to protect their families." A younger soldier, the red-haired woman who had spoken earlier, stepped forward. "The villages they burned. The people who died. How do we explain that?" The mother dragon seemed to understand the question. She turned and used her claw to draw in the dirt of the ridge. The hunters gathered closer, fascinated despite their fear. The dragon drew simple pictures. A small dragon, hunters with weapons, fire, death. Cobalt chirped softly, translating in its own way. The little dragon acted out a story with its movements and sounds, and somehow, Lily understood enough to piece it together. "The first village," Lily said quietly. "It was an accident. A young dragon, maybe even younger than Cobalt, was frightened by hunters. It lost control of its fire. The village fought back and killed the young dragon." The mother dragon nodded her massive head, her eyes sad. "Then the dragons retaliated," Lily continued, "because they were grieving, because they thought humans had murdered their child without reason. And then humans retaliated for that attack. And it just kept going, both sides hurting each other, neither understanding why." Commander Stone was silent for a long moment. His hand went to a pendant around his neck, and Lily saw it was a child's carved toy. "My daughter," he said quietly. "She died when the dragons burned Riverside Village. She was 6 years old." The mother dragon looked at him. She made a low, mournful sound. Then she bowed her head to him specifically, a gesture of sorrow and apology. Stone's hands trembled. "You grieve too," he whispered. "You lost children too." The dragon's eyes closed briefly. "Yes." The red-haired soldier removed her helmet. "I am Lieutenant Anya Frost. I have spent 5 years hunting dragons, and I never once thought they might have reasons for what they did. I just saw enemies." The mother dragon turned and drew more in the dirt. A map, crude but recognizable. She marked spots with her claw. The hunters leaned in, studying it. "Those marks," Stone said slowly, "those are dragon nesting sites. And we have been building villages right on top of them." The dragon nodded. She drew more, showing the borders of the kingdom. Then she pointed to areas marked with symbols the hunters recognized as the territories of rock lizards, massive predatory creatures that had plagued the kingdom for generations. That Anya's eyes widened. "The eastern border. We have always wondered why the rock lizards never come past that ridge." The mother dragon spread her wings and mimed fighting. "You have been protecting us," Stone said in disbelief, "keeping the rock lizards away from our lands." Another nod. Lily felt tears on her cheeks. All this death, all this pain, all because two species never talked to each other, never tried to understand, just assumed the worst and fought until fighting was all they knew. Cobalt climbed up Lily's leg and perched on her shoulder. The little dragon nuzzled her cheek, making comforting sounds. Stone looked at Lily with new respect. What do we do now? I cannot give orders to dragons. I cannot promise my king will listen. Then we make him listen, Lily said, surprised by the strength in her own voice. We go to the capital. We bring the dragons. We show King Aldrich what I have shown you. That dragons can think, can feel, can communicate. That they want peace as much as we do. The king will never allow dragons near the castle, Anya said. The mother dragon made a rumbling sound. She looked at Lily, then at Stone, then back at Lily. The message was clear. She would come. She would risk everything for the chance at peace. She trusts us, Lily said. After everything we have done to her kind, she still trusts us enough to try. Stone was quiet for a long time. Then he straightened his shoulders. I will escort you to the capital. I will speak for you before the king. I do not know if it will work, but I will try. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Dragons and humans stood together on that ridge, and for the first time in a decade, there was hope. The journey to the capital took 3 days. Commander Stone led the way with a small group of his most trusted soldiers. Lily walked beside him, with Cobalt riding on her shoulder as always. The little dragon's wing was healing well, though it still could not fly. Behind them, at a respectful distance, the dragons followed. The mother led her clan through the sky, their massive shadows moving across the ground below. Word spread quickly. Villagers fled in terror as the dragons passed overhead. Messengers on horseback raced ahead to warn the capital that by the time they reached Ironhold, the entire city was in panic. The castle stood on a hill in the center of the city, surrounded by high stone walls. Guards lined the battlements, arrows ready. Lily could see giant crossbows positioned on the walls, all pointed at the sky. The city streets were empty. People hid in their homes, expecting death. This is madness, Anya muttered. The king will think we have betrayed him. Then we explain, Stone said, though his voice was not as confident as his words. The dragons landed in the open field outside the city walls. Their arrival shook the ground. The mother dragon called out, not a roar, but something more like speech. She was asking for parley, Lily realized. Asking for a chance to talk. From the castle, a horn sounded. The gates opened, and a company of royal guards marched out. At their center was King Aldrich Ironhold himself, wearing golden armor and a crown of iron. He was a big man with a gray beard and eyes that burned with anger. Commander Stone, the king's voice boomed. You were sent to kill these beasts, not befriend them. Explain yourself before I have you arrested for treason. Stone stepped forward and bowed. Your Majesty, I bring news that will change everything you believe about dragons. Please hear me out. There is nothing to hear. Dragons are monsters that have killed our people. The king pointed at the mother dragon with his sword. That creature and her kind have burned our villages and murdered our children. Lily stepped forward before she could lose her courage. They did those things because we hurt them first, Your Majesty. Because we did not understand. The king's eyes focused on her. And who are you to speak? My name is Lily. I saved a baby dragon from one of our traps. And when I did, I learned that dragons are not monsters. They are intelligent beings who love their children just like we do. Lies. The king gestured, and guards moved forward. Seize her, the mother dragon roared. Not in anger, but in warning. The sound made everyone freeze. The massive dragon moved forward until she stood just outside arrow range. Her golden eyes locked onto the king. Then she did something incredible. She began to draw in the dirt with her claw, just as she had done on the ridge. But this time, she drew more elaborately, creating a timeline of events. Pictures of the first village, the young dragon, the hunters, the cycle of violence that a woman stepped forward from behind the king. She was younger, dressed in advisor's robes, with sharp, intelligent eyes. Your Majesty, the dragon is trying to communicate. Silence, Nora, the king snapped, but Nora Blackwood, the royal advisor, did not stay silent. She walked closer to the dragon's drawings, studying them carefully. This is remarkable. She is telling us her side of the story. Cobalt climbed down from Lily's shoulder and approached the king. The little dragon chirped softly, then bowed its head in submission. It showed its splinted wing, then pointed at Lily with one small claw. The king stared at the baby dragon. His hand tightened on his sword. Your kind killed my brother. Burned him alive in the attack on Riverside. The mother dragon made a low, sorrowful sound. She drew another picture, a small dragon dead. She touched it gently with her claw, then looked at the king with understanding in her eyes. You lost family. I lost family too. She's saying both sides have suffered, Nora said quietly. Both sides are grieving. Anya stepped forward. Your Majesty, I have fought dragons for 5 years. I hated them with everything I had. But today, I learned we never try to understand them. The mother dragon showed us they have been protecting our eastern border from rock lizards. They have been helping us without us even knowing. The king looked shaken, but not convinced. Even if this is true, how can I trust them? How can I know they will not attack again? The mother dragon seemed to consider this. Then she made a decision. She called out to the sky in that complex dragon speech. One by one, the other dragons landed and placed their claws on the ground in a gesture of submission. They were making themselves vulnerable, showing trust. Then the mother dragon did something that made everyone gasp. She walked forward, past the line of guards with their weapons, and stopped directly in front of King Aldrich. She lowered her massive head until it nearly touched the ground at his feet. Complete submission. Complete trust. She was offering her life to prove her intentions. The king raised his sword. For a long moment, everyone held their breath. One strike could kill the dragon, could end this entire possibility of peace. Cobalt made a desperate chirping sound and ran forward on 3 legs, placing itself between the king and its mother. The little dragon spread its good wing wide, trying to protect its parent despite being tiny in comparison. That Lily's voice broke the silence. If you kill her, you kill any chance we have at peace. You kill the possibility that your brother's death meant something. That maybe, just maybe, we can stop the cycle. No more dead children. No more burned villages. No more grief on either side. The king's sword trembled. His eyes were wet. How can I forgive what they have done? She is asking the same question about us, Lily said gently. And she's choosing to try anyway. Nora placed a hand on the king's arm. Perhaps that is what it means to be the better person. To choose peace even when it is hard. Even when it hurts. King Aldrich looked at the dragon at his feet, at the baby dragon trying to protect its mother, at Lily who stood between 2 worlds. Slowly, very slowly, he lowered his sword. 3 days later, the courtyard of Ironhold Castle was filled with people who had never imagined they would see this day. Citizens from across the kingdom crowded behind barriers, watching in amazement. Nobles in fine clothes stood on balconies. Children peeked from windows in the center of the courtyard. King Aldrich stood at a stone table. Beside him was Nora Blackwood, holding a large piece of parchment written on dragon scale, the only material that could last forever. Across from them, the mother dragon waited with her clan arrayed behind her. Lily stood between them, with Cobalt on her shoulder. The little dragon was chittering excitedly. Its wing was almost fully healed now, and it had started making short flights around the cottage. Commander Stone stood beside Lily, along with Anya and the rest of the guards who had witnessed the truth on the ridge. They were there as witnesses, as proof of what had happened. King Aldrich cleared his throat. We gather today to do something that would have been unthinkable mere days ago. To make peace between humans and dragons. To end a war neither side truly wanted. The crowd murmured. Some voices sounded hopeful, others fearful. Nora read from the treaty. By this agreement, humans pledged to respect dragon nesting territories and to cease all hunting of dragons. In return, dragons pledged to protect the kingdom's borders and to harm no human unless in direct self-defense. Any disputes will be brought to Lily, who is hereby named the first dragon friend and ambassador between our peoples. Lily blinked in surprise. She had not expected that. But looking at the king's face, she saw he was serious. He needed someone who understood both sides, someone both species trusted. The mother dragon made a rumbling sound of approval. She stepped forward and placed her massive claw print in wet clay beside the treaty, sealing it with her mark. King Aldrich signed his name with a quill, his hand steadier than Lily expected. When he finished, he looked up at the dragon. I cannot bring back the dead. Neither can you. But perhaps we can make sure no more die needlessly. The dragon lowered her head in agreement. Then something unexpected happened. A small girl, no more than 5 years old, broke free from her mother's arms in the crowd. She ran forward before anyone could stop her, heading straight for the dragons. Guards moved to intercept, but the king raised his hand. The child stopped in front of the mother dragon, tilting her head back to look up at the massive creature. Are you really going to protect us? Like my papa does. The mother dragon lowered her enormous head until she was eye level with the child. She made a soft, gentle sound. Then, very carefully, she touched the tip of her nose to the girl's hand. The child giggled. You are warm. Cobalt launched itself from Lily's shoulder and glided down to the child, landing with a slight wobble. The little dragon and the little girl looked at each other. Then the girl gently petted Cobalt's head. The dragon purred. That moment broke the tension. People began to murmur excitedly. Some brave souls moved closer. The dragons remained calm, letting people observe them. Over the next weeks, the kingdom transformed. Lily was given a house on the border between human and dragon lands, a beautiful cottage larger than the abandoned one, but just as peaceful. She worked every day to help both sides understand each other. Commander Stone requested to lead a new force called the Dragon Guard. Instead of hunting dragons, they would work with them to protect the kingdom. Anya became his second in command, and together they trained soldiers in a new way of thinking. The dragons proved to be valuable allies. They showed humans where to find rich mineral deposits in the mountains. They taught them about plants with healing properties. In return, humans helped dragons understand farming and showed them how to build better nesting sites that were safer from predators. One evening, the mother dragon visited Lily at her cottage. Cobalt was there, practicing flight in the garden. The young dragon could fly well now, soaring in circles and doing little loops in the air. The mother dragon settled on the grass, and Lily sat beside her with a cup of tea. They had developed a way of communicating using drawings, gestures, and Cobalt's translations. Over time, Lily had learned some of the dragon language. Though she could not pronounce most of it, the mother dragon drew in the dirt. A symbol Lily had learned meant thank you. You already thanked me, Lily said. You gave me scales and this position and your trust. The dragon shook her head. She drew more. A human figure, a small dragon, 2 worlds connected. You are thanking me for bringing our peoples together? Lily asked. The dragon made an approving sound. Then she drew something else, a crystal that glowed. She reached beneath her scales and pulled out an actual crystal, about the size of Lily's fist, that pulsed with gentle light. Lily took it carefully. What is this? The dragon touched the crystal with her claw, then touched Lily's head. Suddenly, Lily heard a voice in her mind. Not words exactly, but meaning clear as day. My name is Sapphire of the Deep Sky clan. This crystal lets our kind share thoughts. I give it to you so we may truly understand each other. Lily gasped. I can hear you. I can understand you. You saved my daughter. You saw us as people when everyone else saw monsters. You stood between our kinds and demanded peace. You're a brave, small human, braver than warriors twice your size. Tears ran down Lily's face. I just did what felt right. I could not leave Cobalt to die. That is why you're perfect for this role. You have what your kind calls compassion, what we call heartfire, the ability to feel another's pain as your own. News of the treaty spread to neighboring kingdoms. Diplomats came from far away to see the impossible, dragons and humans living in peace. Some kingdoms began reaching out to their own dragon populations, hoping to forge similar bonds. The kingdom of Ironhold prospered. With dragons protecting the borders and sharing knowledge, the land grew rich. Children grew up learning that the monsters in old stories were never monsters at all. Lily often sat on the hill overlooking both the kingdom and dragon territories, with Cobalt beside her. The young dragon was nearly full-grown now, magnificent with sapphire scales that caught the sun. Sapphire and other dragons would soar past, calling greetings. Human children would wave to them, and the dragons would dip their wings in response. One day, as the sun set in brilliant colors, Lily thought about Earth. She could probably find a way back eventually. But looking at Cobalt, at the piece she had helped create, at the two peoples learning to live as friends, she knew this was where she belonged. You know what the best part is? She said to Cobalt. The dragon looked at her with intelligent golden eyes. I came here by accident, lost and scared, and I found my purpose. I found where I was meant to be. Cobalt nuzzled her hand. In her mind, through the crystal, she heard Sapphire's voice from somewhere in the sky. And we found a bridge between our worlds. One act of kindness changed everything. Lily smiled as both dragons and humans gathered in the valley below for an evening celebration. Music from both species mixed in the air, and she knew that sometimes the smallest acts, saving one small crying creature, could transform kingdoms.